What's up, everybody? I'm James. Welcome to Mechanical Mayhem, and this is the next part 8 of Mechwarrior 5 Clan's story-driven campaign playthrough. This is it. This is what it all comes down to in Santander. This is going to be our final confrontation with these pirate freeborn scum before we get to the campaign of the invasion in earnest in terms of the story of the setting. So, really cool. We're going to have a pretty fun mission on our hands. So let's strap in and prepare for drop. Here we are, bringing things to a close on Santander with the Pirate King. We have flushed out Valisec's forces. We have destroyed power sources. We have taken resources. We have rescued hostages. And we have basically systematically dismantled Valisec's operation here at Santander. The Pirate King was pretty well dug in, all things considered. You don't call yourself the Pirate King for nothing, I suppose. Definitely not dug in to the same degree as the Inner Sphere will be, but nonetheless, we are here to take them out. As we are being briefed, the 362nd is flushing out the rest of Valisec's forces into the open for us to assist Sakan Weaver in crushing. And I really enjoy the concept and theming of this mission, right? It is the final mission on this planet, and we are moving in conjunction with Sakan Weaver. We are getting enemies flushed towards us, and we're going to be dealing with him, and that's pretty cool. This is going to be a longer video, by the way. There is a decent amount of cutscenes at the end that I'm not going to try and talk over too much, if at all. And then I want to give a little bit of a wrap-up after the fact, because well, that's what I want to do, so we can be prepared for moving forward. Now, when it comes to Mechwarrior 5 Clans, you're going to see a lot of the research and the mech bay and the piloting stuff in terms of the barracks, right, in terms of your pilots. And you're going to see that for a decent amount of videos to come, a few more videos to come, kind of the full-on in-depthness of it. But I will try and get things more prepped, especially at the end of a mission. That way, the next video in the series, we can just kind of jump into the missions, only because these missions are going to increase in length. The reason they're going to increase in length is because, well, we're getting higher in tonnage. The enemy's going to get higher in tonnage. There's going to be more things to do. Sometimes we'll blitz right through them in terms of just crush things after crushing things after crushing things. Other times we're going to take a bit more time because we're going to levy the advantage of our range and our technology to whittle things down. So we're definitely getting into the thick of it now. We're mech warrioring now, as they would say. So just making sure I have what I want equipped, more or less, for our star. We did gain access to the Nova Inner Sphere designation Black Hawk of the medium mechs that we have access to from the clans. The Nova is, in my opinion, a real jack-of-all-trade potentiality style of mech. Not because it can wield virtually anything, but because it can stay stuck in, it has some speed, it has jump jet maneuvering. Its primary configuration is an absolute burst damage machine with 12 extended range medium lasers, and it runs a bit hot, but it can last in extended operations, no ammunition to worry about. And it also is a bit of a workhorse because its design is one that is specific for allowing elemental battle armor to ride on top of it and grip on it, more or less, and get to a designation that way. We're never going to see that here, but it is in the lore, and that's pretty cool. So we had our drop zone basically changed up a little bit. Nice little added detail for this opening cutscene. It's not just the same cut and dry dropship comes in and drops us off situation. Nothing crazy happened, but a little bit of a reroute. So the goal of this mission is, like I said, to crush Valisec's forces and to allow Sakan Weaver to engage Valisec's Battlemaster, which is an assault mech. So to do that, we got to clear an LZ. So scanning is going to be pretty prevalent here in this mission, which is why I'm going to just be in scan mode for a decent amount of it, while my star rips things apart, because we have the power to do so way more so now than we did earlier, because we're a full-on star medium mechs. So you might be thinking medium mechs, well, you're still not heavy or assault, and you're absolutely right. However, what I think was pretty cleverly done for our time in having medium mechs, even when we start getting access to heavy mech class mechs, is that I think this game actually did a pretty slick little representation of the lore for medium mechs. You see, medium mechs in BattleTech are your workhorse weight class. They are used everywhere. Assaults, defenses, patrols, sabotage. They have the weaponry, they have the weight, and they have the speed in conjunction with their armor, that they're not too heavy, but they're heavy enough to have the weaponry and the armor, so they can retain their speed. They also can have probes and ECM depending upon the chassis, of course, and this allows for these mechs to really support things almost anywhere. And all but the most heaviest of assault situations, you're gonna find medium mechs. They're just a workhorse, and typically we would kind of see that in the enemy forces, right? We're seeing that now, right? We have a couple of lights, but we're going to be facing more and more mediums, just like this blackjack here, which is a medium. The thing is, aside from the fact that we can just absolutely trounce it with a full-on star firing at it and all of our lasers, is that we typically see medium mechs as the workhorse when we're fighting against the enemy, and typically we're so much more in a heavier weight class in prior games that we can just trounce these mediums, not necessarily in one-hit kills, but rip them apart more or less. We don't really get to be on the other side of that, experiencing the workhorse nature of medium mechs too much. Typically, medium mechs are like a stepping stone to heavy in some of the earlier games out there. But as we can see, Sakan Weaver's Shroud Keshik is all heavy. 2 summoners, 2 mad dogs, and her Timberwolf. Which means we are now the medium mech workhorse star. And that's actually pretty cool. It's not necessarily a role reversal, it's just kind of fulfilling the role in real earnest for the first time. So I really like that. And we're going to see medium mechs in our star for a good amount of time. It's not going to last forever, but we're not necessarily going to upgrade out of the medium weight class in totality as fast as we will with the lights. Or have with the lights, I should say. So, one thing I did do is I added chain fire to this. It doesn't modify the mech at all, you just edit your weapon groups, and I highly recommend adding chain fire to the Nova Prime. You saw me shooting it at turrets and the like in chain fire mode, because a turret takes 1 to 2 medium laser shots, so I have no reason to fire off a volley of 6 into one turret, right? It just helps conserve heat. It helps keep our lasers up in case we are facing turrets and mechs. We can blitz down a turret real quick and then fire the rest of that salvo into the mech, for example, and do pretty decent damage. Plus, we can then chain fire it to allow us to do some damage, contribute, but also to let our heat die down. Because as long as you don't spam fire your medium lasers too quickly, you can fire off one medium laser, give it a second or two, fire off another one, and your heat will drop. Is this more beneficial than just waiting for your heat to drop enough to do a full salvo? Depends, right? Depends on what you're shooting in the situation, but it's definitely something you can do. More mines to hack and basically make on our side so you don't blow up in our faces. You want to kind of prioritize this, in my opinion, only because Shroud Keshik waits for no one. It will walk right through these mines, knowing they're there, but just not wanting to give any ounce of time to the enemy. Also, AI movement. You could maneuver around these mines, but that would be players doing that, and the AI doesn't do that. So we have to account for that in our movement. So Shroud Keshik has a lot of firepower at their disposal, which is part of the reason why we're seeing a lot of heavy mechs thrown in our direction. The Jaeger mechs, catapults. We're seeing all this because, well, it's not just our star on the battlefield. We have a full-on heavy star that far outweighs our star, so they can throw some weight against us. Also, we're clan tech. And while I get far too close far too often, and I gotta get better at that, we have the technology to outrange and really bring the damage to the Inner Sphere Freeborn. So you can just see the amount of firepower going downrange at the enemy is kind of absurd. And even when it's just the support equipment on Mad Dogs and the like firing and not their missiles and whatnot, we're still burning through these inner mechs pretty decently. Archers aren't pushovers, neither are catapults. You know, when you're in the heavy mech weight class, everything is not quite a pushover anymore. So we definitely want to be careful with that when we're facing them. And don't do what I'm doing. I'm getting really close because I am bad, apparently. But that's okay, because we are able to burn through things, and we're in water. As I mentioned in a prior video, when you're in enough water, your coolant or cooling capability is greatly enhanced, which is fantastic for the Nova. As you just saw, I did the full-on, not an alpha strike, but a 1-2 salvo, and I got to about half heat, and it drained down real quickly. So anytime you can make use of water, I highly recommend it. As you can see, though, Shroud Keshik is starting to push forward more, so we don't want to take too long to do what we're doing. But yeah, I'd rather, you know, thought it kind of neat that we get to experience the lore behind medium mechs a little bit, being this workhorse thing, because here we are a workhorse force. We're not in the way, we're not having enough damage or survivability, and we're not, you know, assaults trying to keep up. We're mediums that can lag behind to do certain things and then play catch up really easily and bring some really good firepower to bear. So I thought that was pretty neat. I don't know, maybe I'm just weird. So what I like about the narrative of this mission as we're blitzing through, hacking mines, blowing up vehicles and the like, is that the 360-second overall is pushing the enemy towards us. We're never going to see our allies, but we're seeing the result, right? We basically put a screening force down that is flushing them out because, well, if they don't, they're going to get just absolutely chopped to pieces. So they're moving where we want them to. It's kind of like, you know, early settlers and the like, and native peoples herding buffalo and bison and whatever else in whatever land into a kill zone, more or less. That's what we're doing here, or what was being done here, and we are that zone. So, mediums everywhere. While we are the workhorse of the medium, or in medium mechs for our side, we're going to be facing plenty of workhorse style things as well as we fight here. But we're going to be taking on some heavies. So, do not take things too lightly. Really, this is where Mechwarrior starts to showcase its Mechwarrior-ness in just mech action, maneuvering, slugging it out. You're gonna take hits. You can't dodge, really. You're gonna take the hits. You're gonna keep on going. You're gonna blow things apart, and eventually one side's gonna fall. And that was an engine kill right there. Those explosions can damage you. It's nothing super crazy. I think they did more damage, honestly, in Mechwarrior 4, but I think it also depends on how close you are when it happens, right? We weren't close enough to take damage there, but we will in a little bit. So don't forget, the Nova has jump jets. We can leverage that to our advantage to try and get into a position easier. Grasshopper is another heavy mech. So at this point, throughout the entirety of the mission, we have gotten waves of some lights, mediums, and then mediums and heavies. And tonnage-wise, we've definitely encountered much more tonnage than what we have at our disposal, even with Sakon Weaver's Star. This is par for the course in Mechwarrior. This isn't anything unique to Mechwarrior 5 Clan specifically, but it feels just a little bit more exacerbated, if you will. Also, avoid shooting your teammates. They're just going to maneuver without care to what you're doing. So if you have to, and you're firing a laser has that kind of burn time, you can always just sacrifice some damage on the target and move your shot away so you don't end up burning into your allies, because that's never good. So this Phoenix Hawk has an ECM. We don't like that, so we took care of that. One thing that is a little bit of a nuisance, it doesn't pop up too much. This is one of the few times it pops up. As you can see, our allies are going beyond the mission zone. And that's an engine kill they're going to walk right into and take some damage. But hey, nothing too crazy, and that was a big whoops. So the fact that our allies can go beyond the borders is a little bit frustrating, only because the enemy spawns from beyond the border, and we can't go in and really assist handedly, right? If it's something in the area of the range, that's great, but that's kind of a ravine, or we're in kind of a ravine. That's kind of like a canyon wall thing. And if we can't see them, we can't support. But we can't go up there to support because I'll go out of bounds and I'll get the mission to fail if I go out of bounds. So we have to be careful in our maneuvering. In fact, you're going to see that happen in just a little bit. Thankfully, you have a window so you don't trigger a failure of the mission immediately. But it is a bit annoying, especially when you're trying to maneuver around these Vindicators to take them out. As you can see, I am outside of the operations area. Didn't mean to, I was just maneuvering on the Vindicators and then trying to get back in. I walk into the Shadowcat just saying hi, you know, being polite. So here we are. But yeah, I like what I was saying, because I keep getting off topic of myself. I like the narrative of them being flushed out towards us. It kind of helps us remember, hey, we're not the only forces in town doing things in this operation. There's the rest of the 362nd, plus we have Beta Galaxy that we're a part of, right? So, as we take on the last mech, this Cataphract, which is a pretty cool looking mech, it's important to keep in mind, with games like this, sometimes we're so focused on what we're doing, we think no progress is being made outside of the progress we make, and that's simply not the case. So, just something to keep in mind, and I like how we are reminded at times about this in missions such as this, and also in cutscenes and the like. I really like this cutscene coming up, because I think it does a good job showcasing mech maneuvering, and also bringing light to the idea of the neural helmet in Battletech, which will be a video in the future, by the way.
No more tricks, no more lies, no more holes for you or your rats to scurry back to. Face me, Helmar Balasek, and die at my hands.
I'll give you this, lady. You got some balls on you. I hope you're not too banged up after all this. I'll be sure to give you a more personal introduction after I pry you out of that pretty little mech of yours.
Challenge accepted. Freeborn scum.
You handled that mech well, girl. But lucky for me, your lot is as dumb as a pile of rocks. I'll be back to reclaim what is mine soon enough. In the meantime, you all don't look up at the sky too hard. Your brains might fall out.
I will say, that's a cool cutscene, but one thing that doesn't make sense is that dropship, right? We stopped a dropship the last time it blast off, whatever you want to say, from this world. But this is a more nimble dropship in the form of a leopard, and I don't know, maybe it saw an approach vector to get off world that was, more advantageous and could avoid us.
Our work on Santander is complete, Sakan. We have cleared the rats from their nest.
Despite the pirates' desperate tactics.
What of Balasek? He escaped us.
He has wasted enough of our time. One pirate is not enough to retake Santander. Not with his command wiped out. It is time for us to move on.
What of the other clans? Are we go for invasion?
we are the final clan to finish operations in the periphery. All are ready to proceed. On your orders, Sakan.
Order everyone to return to their ships. Depart for Santander's jump point, and prepare to commence Operation Revival. The Smoke Jaguar's opening wave will simultaneously target 10 systems within the Draconis Combine. The remaining clans will target a similar number of systems within the Federated Commonwealth and the Free Rasselhague Republic. The Silver Keshik and I will remain here to resupply and oversee our logistical interests. Galaxy Commander Perez, you will lead Beta Galaxy and bid on your next target. Prepare accordingly.
I will, my Khan.
Ready yourselves. The true invasion of the Inner Sphere begins now.
We have completed our jump into Dracona's Combine space.
Now, we take our first steps towards fulfilling the Great Father's hidden hope of returning home and reclaiming Terra. Mere 2 years after our ancestors' exodus, Minoru Kurita and the samurai of the Draconis Combine ignited what would become the Succession Wars. Kerensky's prophesized Forever War that plunged the Inner Sphere into centuries of destruction and barbarism. Smoke Jaguar have won the honor of bringing vengeance down upon House Kurita and their fascist regime. And it now falls to all of you to be the vanguards of Kerensky's justice against the very successor state that aided the usurper and ushered in the downfall of the ancient Star League. To be his sword. To cut down a corrupt system that sees humanity subjugated to the whims of petty warlords. And to carve out a legacy that will be forever etched in history.
Oh man, it's Turtle Bay. If you know the lore, you know. So that's pretty cool. You know, it looks really cool too. So that is our destination. That is where we're going for the start of the invasion truly properly now. We have some tonnage to our star. We have some research going on. So things are going to definitely ramp up. I do like the ending and those cutscenes. I think it's a nice bit of exposition if you're fairly new or don't know much at all about the Battletech setting. So that's really cool, as we just do some basic cleanup stuff in between missions here. So, as I was saying, I don't know what's going on with Balastek's dropship there in that cutscene. I get it, he escapes, but like, it is a little bit odd. But I'm not. It's not. It doesn't ruin the experience or anything. I presume they found a way off-world that would be able to skirt by our forces, because we're not really forming a formal blockade or anything like that. We're just there to finish up and move on, because we got bigger fish to fry, which is the Draconis Combine. So definitely doing some research, organization, and thinking here for myself. Looking to focus on armor and then certain weaponry, getting up, especially energy weapons. I'm a big fan of energy weapons, so I like trying to get those picked up. I haven't done anything for pulses just yet, but I do plan to once I'm able to get some of the regular laser stuff out of the way and PPC stuff out of the way. So what I like about that cutscene, or the series of cutscenes there, is that Sakan Weaver said there are going to be 10 systems that Smoke Jaguar simultaneously invading, right? This is one of them. and the other clans are doing similarly. Varying on total number, but similarly nonetheless. And it's important to keep that in mind because we can get kind of caught up in our own corridor here in this campaign of thinking nothing is happening outside of us. So that's simply not the case, right? We do have 9 other systems being attacked, invaded, conquered, and so on. And if you look at the map of the invasion, you can see all the clans have a decent number of worlds under their belts by the time the invasion truly is over. So there's plenty going on. It can seem like, wow, we seem inept, or we seem like we're just super slow or focusing. Well, no, that's just our start in our specific local theater of the campaign. But in any case, Turtle Bay should be pretty cool, so looking forward to that. What do you think of this game if you've played it, or if you're watching along? How are you enjoying yourself? I will say, anytime I get to see a Timberwolf in a cutscene or just in general is a good time. It is a classic, iconic mech, so really cool and kind of a no-brainer choice to put Sakan Weaver in one of those. Cool use of the Neuro Helmet in terms of seeing how the mechs move. That's a video for another time. And all in all, just really enjoy the pacing and the cinematic story nature of this campaign. Anytime you have such a story-heavy focus and cinematic kind of supplement like we have here going on, I'm always game for it. So share your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks so much for taking the time out of the day to check this out. And let me know in the comments if you've played this game or not yet. I would love to see some comments happen, and don't forget to subscribe if you are enjoying yourself and want to be part of future conversations and see videos when they go live a bit easier and whatever else. So until next time, take care.